Well, grand risings, everybody. This is Mystical Ariel here to shake the matrix, expand our minds, and make us all think. How are you guys all doing this beautiful grand morning? Well, we're doing good. You know, we're sitting here, it's early in the morning, and we've had a good and a phenomenal meditation this morning. And so today, we got some good things to discuss. But let's first take a breath with me, all right? Let your shoulders drop just a little, because this morning we're going to talk about the shape your life has really been moving in. You know, not a straight line, not a flat circle, or it's been a spiral. See, most of us were taught that to think like life is a straight line. You know, point A to point B, start here and there. You know, you're behind, you're ahead. And if you circle back to an old lesson, you say, I thought I was done with this. Why am I back here again? But you're not back in the same place. You're at a higher turn on the spiral. Same theme, you know, new vantage point, same pattern, new level of awareness, same trigger, new capacity to respond. See, life is not a line. Life is a spiral. You know, every cycle returns, but higher, richer, deeper, more conscious. Look back over your story and notice this. You know, the same wounds appeared in different faces. The same core fear showed up in different situations. The same longing spoke through different seasons. And you thought you failed because it came back. Yeah, but what if every turn was lifting you? What if every cycle was another rotation of an eternal dance? Not punishment, refinement, evolution. See, we call it the eternal dance and the monad. Let's go even deeper. The spiral is not random. It's not chaos. It's a geometry of consciousness. Galaxies spin in spirals, hurricanes spiral, shells grow in spirals, and your DNA itself is a spiral. And at the center of all of this, the ancients spoke of the monad, the one, the source, pure consciousness. Undivided, every spiral is an expression of the one unfolding into many, and then returning. You are part of the movement. You are the monad expressing itself as you, exploring, learning, remembering. And when Morg talks about monad, he's pointing to this. There is one consciousness, one source, appearing as infinite points of view. And the spiral is how that source dances with itself through time. Every turn of your life is the monad, seeing itself from a new angle. Psychology, the spiral's healing. Psychology actually describes healing this way too. Not at one point in time event, but as a spiral. You don't fix a wound once and never feel it again. You revisit it from new levels of strength, new levels of awareness, new levels of safety, and the child's part of you surfaces over and over. And as you gain more capacity to hold them, early on, the spirals feel like trigger reactions, shame, collapse. And later, the same spiral feels like a trigger, a pause, awareness, different choice, same core wound, different you. And that's growth. That's the internal spiral of a consciousness. Not a straight climb, but an orbit that slowly rises. The nervous system is part of this spiral, and at first, it only knows survival, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. But each time you choose regulation, each time you choose breath instead of panic, observation instead of collapse, your system upgrades. New neural pathways, new responses, high spirals, higher turn. You know, let's talk about infinite possibilities. I mean, science tells us that the quantum level particles exist in a state of possibility until they are observed, and many potential outcomes, one collapse into form. Your consciousness is interacting with that field all the time. And every thought, every emotion, every belief is like a seed in the soil of infinite possibilities. Manifestation is not magic tricks. It is alignment with certain potentials, and you are not forcing the universe. You are becoming a match for a particular branch of spiral. Your mind is a sacred temple where new realities begin to take shape, not just an idea, in feelings, in expectations, in deep knowing. And manifestation doesn't start with force, it starts with tone. And the feeling tone of your being is when your inner state says, I am loved, I am provided for, I am connected, I am guided. You move differently. You see different doors, and you notice different opportunities, and you behave as if certain branches of the spiral is already yours. And the reality reorganizes it to meet you there. Not because you're special, because you're aligned. Alignment versus force. We've been programmed to chase, to force, to grind, to make it happen from fear. That's linear thinking. If I push hard enough, I get somewhere else. If I align deeply enough, the next turn is inevitable. Manifestation flows from alignment, not strain. From resonance, not desperate. From coherence, not chaos. Your feeling tone is the vibration language you speak to the field, and you can say all the affirmations you want. But if your nervous system is screaming, I'm not safe, the spiral reflects that. This is why eternal work is not optional. It's functional. The key has always been in you, not a metaphor, literally. Your inner world determines which potential becomes your live experience. The dreamer and the dream. Let's go deeper into philosophy and gnosis. You are both the dreamer and the dream. The creator and the being. The consciousness dream up a world and then enters it. You are that. You are the spark of the monad, experiencing itself as human story. You're not watching the spiral from outside. You are the spiral. And every time you wake up a little more, every time you choose love over fear, and every time you trust what cannot yet see, the dream changes. Not because the world is fake, but because reality is more fluid than we are taught. And in many mystical traditions, the key they say you are not a person having spiritual experiences. You are a spirit having a personal experience. You are not an outside of the dream trying to get in. You are God consciousness dreaming itself as you. No, I am both. And that's what we're realizing slowly. I am the one walking the path, and I am the path itself. And that is why the spiral never really ends. Because there is no final point where you're done. There is only infinite deepening, infinite remembering, infinite experience. And the inner spiral only deepening peace. A consciousness spiral inward into itself. And something surprises happens. The external may still cycle through gain and loss, beginning and ending, high and lows, but in the center of the spiral there is only deepening peace. The still point, the eye of the hurricane, the quiet at the center of the galaxies. This is not apathy, it's accordness. You still feel, you still love, you still care, but you are no longer lost in every wave. You begin to witness the turns of the spirals from a place that doesn't move. Call it soul, call it self, true self, call it monad awareness, call it kingdom. Whatever the world, the experience is this. The miracle was never outside me. It was always this awareness. Nature's spirals, look again at the nature. Spirals are everywhere. The Milky Way, hurricanes, galaxies upon galaxies, snail shells, nautilus, the arrangement of seeds in a flower, the curl of a fern. Nothing in nature moves in perfect straight lines for long. The path of planets is orbital, and the growth of life is cyclical. Death feeds life, life feeds death. And all of it moves in patterns. When you understand your life as a spiral instead of a straight line, Maybe you can stop shaming yourself for being back here again. You're not failing, you are orbiting. And each orbit brings you closer to the center of what you truly are. You know, Monad in the Guide Within, Morg talks about Monad as the ultimate guide, the source beyond all appearances. From agnostics, a philosophical angle of the monad is the original, is the origin, the destination, the container of all possibilities. Your higher self deepest intuition, and your inner knowing is your personal interface with that monad. You don't have to go find something external guide. If you learn to trust the one already speaking in the quiet spaces, in dreams, in those deep yes and no moments you can't logically explain, every time you follow that, you are letting the monad guide you along the spiral. You are letting all lead the one. You are aligning your personal will with a deeper pattern. And a life starts to feel like a random chaos and more like a choreography. You know, this is where faith becomes real. Not a faith in someone else's doctrine, faith in the spiral, faith in the unseen turn that hasn't revealed itself yet. Faith in the seed underground. You don't see roots forming, you don't see stems pushing, you don't see the first crack in the soil, but you trust that something is happening. You water anyway, you wait anyways, and that's how life works. There are seasons there where nothing seems to be moving. You're doing the work, you're healing, you're aligning, you're planting seeds, and the ego says nothing is happening, manifestation isn't working, the spiral is broken, but the monad knows you're in the unseen part of the turn. Keep going. Trust is not hoping that nothing bad will happen. Trust is knowing that whatever happens, you are still held inside the spiral. You are still guided by the monad. You are still participating in a larger pattern than your mind can track. Close your eyes with me for a moment. If you can, just feel your breath. And imagine your life. Not as a line stretching behind and ahead, but as a spiral. See the moments from your past, big ones, painful ones, breakthrough ones, like points on the spiral. And now notice. You survived all of them. You learned from all of them. Your awareness is greater now than it was of those points. That means you have already been rising. Now imagine that spiral continuing forward. Not in a rush, just unfolding, turn by turn. And ask inwardly, what would it feel like to trust the next turn before I see it? What would it feel like to live as my consciousness is guiding this, not random chance? What would it feel like to act from my alignment, not panic? Sit with that. Let your body taste what calm trust feels like. Not forced positivity, just trust. So open your eyes and hear the key has always been in you. Not in some book alone, not in some leader alone, not in, some system alone, in your own awareness, in your own willingness to see differently. You are the meeting point of science and spirit, psychology and soul, quantum field and monad, nature and consciousness. You are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the being, the spark and the flame, the spiral and the center. The moment you stop living like a random accident and start living like a deliberate expression of the monad, everything shifts. The spiral doesn't suddenly become easy, but it becomes meaningful. And you start to see the patterns. You start to feel the guidance. And you start to trust what you cannot see because you realize the one who sees through your eyes already knows the way. So today's teaching, life is a spiral. Each turn is an external dance. Every cycle lifts you higher into your own expression. Manifestation flows from alignment, not force. Your mind is a sacred temple where new realities begin as seeds, and the field of infinite possibilities is always here, waiting for the feeling tone of your being to match what you ask for. You are both the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the created. And in the inner spiral of consciousness, there is only deepening peace. The miracle was never outside you, it was you. Seeing, feeling, aligning, and remembering. This resonates. And take it home. Because that's what you are in. You're not at a dead end, not at a flat circle, but a living, breathing, sacred spiral. And you are right on time. Peace and love. We'll see you guys next time.